they close the border. They want to kill us. But we have no chance. Water we need from Allah, not from the evil, not from the king, not from Al-Khani Sisi. Inshallah, that's the T11. We're free Palestine! Want to kill kids, to starving kids, achieve Canada!
You're all saying louder, say it more, but you're not being loud. 446 days of genocide, over 200,000 people. Use your anger and get loud for the people of Gaza. People, they're making us close. Use your voice in the streets to be loud and clear. We are here to demand an end to the genocide of our people. So use your anger and get loud.
For almost 2 years, we have been calling every politician in this country to stop arming Israel, and they keep lying to us.
Thousands of Palestinians have Egyptian and Jordanian people to stand with Gaza with brutal repressions and crackdowns. Shame on the Arab misleadership.
Shame!
The Jordanian government has detained hundreds of people for showing solidarity with Palestine in the largest crackdown on activists in decades. Egyptian authorities blocked the international efforts to march to Rafah and break the siege, beating, detaining, and deporting activists for standing against the genocide of our people. Shame!
Shame!
Egyptian activists who have held demonstrations for Gaza have constantly been arrested since the start of the genocide. Shame!
Shame!
Of the leadership, the Arab people understand their duties to Palestine and feel the great shame of their government's complicity. Last week, Egyptian youth at great personal risk stormed a state security office and detained several security officers for hours. They were there to demand Egypt to act to open the Rafah crossing. Despite the Jordanian crackdown, activists continue to organize and protest and march for Palestine. Rabbi Feldman is a spokesman for Karta International, a religious Jewish anti-Zionist organization which is active in giving publicity to the violence of oppression of many Jewish communities around the world, to the Zionist ideologies, the Zionist states, and its crimes committed to the Palestinian people. NKI explains the distinctions between Judaism and Zionism, that the relatively new Zionist movement is a rebellion against God, and that it does not represent the Holy Torah, nor the entire Jewish people. Please join me in welcoming the Rabbi.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. We are standing here on the streets of Mississauga in this troubling time, in this sad part of Palestinian history, when we are seeing, unfortunately, little children starved to death. Little infants are dying because they don't have formula. Shame! This is in addition to this almost 2 years of genocide, 17 years of siege, and over 77 years of criminal occupation. Shame! Begging for food, begging for a piece of bread. We can't imagine mothers that don't have what to give to their crying children. This is unacceptable. Shouldn't be able to sleep at night when we are seeing what is going on. We Jewish people, we know what suffering is. This weekend we are commemorating the greatest tragedy in Jewish history 2,000 years ago, the destruction of the Holy Temple, when masses of Jewish people were brutally murdered, tortured and starved. More recently, our grandparents went through the Holocaust in Nazi Germany, where masses of Jewish people were murdered, tortured and starved. We still know stories from the Holocaust, and we all know that the world was silent. Our grandparents would have wished that we should have people in Mississauga that should come out in the street to speak up for them. But unfortunately, this wasn't the case. Today, the world understands that this is an embarrassment. But when we have people silent today, it is different than the people who were silent in the Holocaust. In the story of the Holocaust, some people had an excuse. They didn't know. They didn't know what's going on. But today, everyone knows. Whoever scratches the surface sees pictures, sees videos of children like skeletons, sweet little children missing limbs, infants dying because we don't give them what they need. This is unacceptable. This is intolerable. We Jewish people know what pain is. We don't want to see this happen to anyone. And certainly we don't want to be the people, God forbid, committing those crimes. Jewish people the world over are embarrassed when all of this is being done supposedly in our name. It's a desecration of God's name. It's a desecration of the Jewish religion when it's being misused to justify all these crimes. But we should know better than Zionist propaganda. According to Judaism, all of this is forbidden. All what Israel stands for is a total contrast to everything Judaism teaches. Killing, stealing, oppressing an entire people. These are not only crimes in humanity, these are violations of Judaism. It happens to be that the philosophy of Zionism, this concept of building a sovereign homeland for Jews by physical means, happens to be in total contrast to the very basics of Judaism, which teaches a concept of Jewish exile being a divine decree. We are forbidden to fight God's decree by any physical means. This is what was accepted by Jews for thousands of years. This movement of Zionism has nothing to do with Judaism. In no way is it a continuation of the Jewish religion or the representation of world Jewry. Jewish people the world over are traumatized by what's going on. Our communities in occupied Palestine struggle. They refuse to serve in the Israeli army. They would never be part of these crimes. What happens to them? Not some European anti-Semites who torture Jewish people. It's the supposed representatives of the Jewish people. It's the regime of the Zionist regime who are torturing and harassing our Jewish brothers because they speak up. Never should anyone think that the state of Israel is the defense of the Jewish people. All it stands for is for a political movement. Nothing to do with the people, nothing to do with the religion. The Zionist regime happens to be the enemy of humanity, including the enemy of the Jewish people. Shame! Across the globe, and we are pleading with government leaders, we are pleading with the world over to stand up for the oppressed people of Palestine, for the people in Gaza. If we would need one day some aide who is going to stand set up for us. There is an ancient Talmudic saying in Jewish tradition, what you hate be done to yourself, don't do it to anyone else. Children in Gaza, we need an arms embargo now. We need a ceasefire now, but that's not enough. We need to break the siege of Gaza, and that's not enough. We need to address the problem. We need to address the root cause to all what is going on. Jewish people live in peace in Palestine. We have no problems. We were a small minority. We were respected and protected by the vast majority of Muslims. Nobody should ever tell you that it's the difference of religion causing a conflict. Occupation of Palestine, which is the greatest rebellion against God and destruction of humanity, a knockback catastrophe for Palestine, and a danger for the Jewish people. We have to stop this occupation. We have to stop it in its entirety. We have to restore all rights to all oppressed people, including the full right of return. We hope that this ends peacefully, with no more suffering of anyone. And then and only then, we can hope to experience once again that historic, beautiful peace in Palestine to be the reality in the future. Inshallah.
Let's give it to the Nazi Rabbi David one more time.
About religion is not about race. It's about greed. It's about people. And superpowers, imperialist powers like the US, Israel, Canada, the UK, and everyone else who complicit with them. This is their fight against us, against humanity, against the free people of this world. And we are the duty to share nothing with others. We have duty to say something about this injustice. And we can only do it in one way, united, together. Because that's when we have the power, and we do have the power for us both as a